Hello Year 5, Miss Harris here. I hope you're all doing well. You would have seen that today's maths task is to divide 3 and 4 digit numbers by a 1-digit number using the bus stop method. Now what we mean by that is we are going to be taking 3-digit numbers like this, or some of you may want to challenge yourself today and look at numbers that have 4 digits, and we are going to be dividing them by a 1-digit number. And we're going to be doing this today by using the bus stop method. So we are going to be taking our 3 or 4 digit numbers and dividing them by a 1-digit number. So can you make sure you've got your pencils and your exercise books or some jotting paper ready? And I want you to have a go at doing some of the examples along with me before you do them independently at home. Okay, so the first question we're going to do together is 583 divided by 2. Now, as mathematicians, what we should be doing is looking at that question and identifying that 583 is an odd number. And by using our reasoning skills, we should identify that by dividing an odd number by 2 will definitely give us a remainder, because all the numbers that are even can divide by 2 without a remainder. So odd numbers divided by 2 are already, we know we're going to end up with a remainder. So let's see what our answer is. So 583 divided by 2 is going to look like this when we draw our bus stop method. So we're going to start by looking at the first digit, 5, which here is representing 500, and we're going to divide that by 2. So we need to do our 2 times table either by writing it down or by doing it in our head until we get to a number that is close to 5. Now I've done 2, 4, 6. Now I've gone too far. So I know that the number of 2's that go into 5 is 1, 2. And we have a remainder of 1, which we are going to put in front of our 8, which is in our tens column. We're now going to divide 18 by 2. So again, we can either do our 2 times table in our head, or we can write it down, and we keep going until we get to 18. And we count how many 2's go into 18, and the answer is 9. So we write our 9 above the tens digit. Now there's no remainder this time, so we're going to move on and we're going to divide 3 by 2. How many 2's will go easily into 3? The answer would be 1, and there is a remainder of 1. Now 291, remainder 1, is correct, but today we're going to give our answer as a decimal number, just like a calculator would. So I'm going to add a decimal point to my 3-digit number, followed by a 0. Now this doesn't change the number in any way. If we think of £583 and 0 pence, we still have £583. So I'm going to take this remainder 1 and I'm going to put it in front of the 0. I'm just going to extend my bus stop slightly, and I'm going to draw a decimal point in line with the decimal point I have in my answer down here. So now I'm going to divide 10 by 2, and I know that 2 times 5 is 10, and there is my answer as a decimal. Now hopefully lots of us will know that 0.5 is the same as 1/2. And because we had a remainder of 1 and we're dividing that number, the whole number, by 2, we have 1 remainder out of the 2 we were dividing by, which is why we end up with 0.5. So I'm going to rub off my board, and we are now going to have a go at another question together. And this time, the question we're going to do is 764 divided by 5. Now again, as mathematicians, we're going to use our reasoning skills to recognise that all numbers that can divide by 5 without leaving a remainder end with 5 and 0, because all multiples of 5, all numbers in the 5 times table, end with a 5 or a 0. So we should know already as mathematicians that we are going to have an answer that gives us a remainder, because this number ends with a 4. So we are going to draw our bus stop method, or our bus stop, not our method, like this. Now, how many 5s can go into 7? 7 divided by 5, my answer is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. 6, 7, that means there's 2 remainder, and that goes there. Now we have 26, we have 26 tens divided by 5. Now you can either again do this in your head, or you can quickly, I'm just trying to show you that I'm doing my 5 times table down here. 30, that's too big, I've gone too far. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 26 divided by 5 is 5. Remainder 1, which goes in front of our 4, which is in the ones column. We now have 14 divided by 5. And if I look down here at my 5 times table, I can see that 15 is too far, it's too big. So it's 1, 2, and I have a remainder of 4. So I'm going to again add a decimal point and a 0 in my tenths column. I haven't changed the amount, I've still got 764, but I'm going to put a decimal point here in line. I'm going to extend my bus stop slightly, and I'm going to take my remainder 4, I'm going to put it in front of the 0. Now I'm going to do 40 divided by 5, which is 8. So my answer is 152.8. If you wanted to write that as a fraction, we would write 152, remainder 4, and we were dividing by 5. So the answer would be 152 4/5. 1/5 is 0.2 or 0.20. So 4/5 would be 4 lots of 0.2, which would give us 0.80, which was what we've got here. So this time we're going to make it a little bit trickier, and our answer this time is going to be a 2 decimal place answer. And I'm going to show you how we're going to solve those questions when we add a 0 and we still have a remainder afterwards. So this time, on your pieces of paper or on whatever surface you're using, can you write down 400, sorry, I made a mistake, work that one out, 485 divided by 4. Now I hope at home you are thinking as mathematicians and using your reasoning skills to identify that this number is odd, and we cannot divide odd numbers by even numbers without there being a remainder. So draw your bus stop, and we're going to write in 485 divided by 4. I'm just going to move this over slightly so our numbers are not too close together. Okay, if you are already starting without me, well done. Let's see if you beat me by getting the answer before I do. So I'm going to start with my hundreds digit. 400 divided by 4 is 1, and that divides quite nicely, so I'm going to move on. 8 divided by 4 is 2, no remainder, I'm going to move on. 5 divided by 4 is 1. Now there's 1 remainder, so I'm going to add my decimal point and my 0 and write my 1 remainder here. Don't forget your decimal point in your answer goes above the decimal point in the digit you are dividing by. They always line up. 10 divided by 4. That's 2. Now I've still got a remainder. 4 times 2 is 8, and I've still got a remainder of 2. So So I'm going to add another 0. And then my remainder goes here. 20 divided by 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 5. So this time I had to add 2 zeros. My answer was 121.25. Use a calculator to check. You know, Miss Harris sometimes makes mistakes, but I think this time that is the correct answer because I checked earlier on. Now, 0.25 is a quarter. We had a remainder of 1 originally, and we were dividing by 4. So when you have a remainder of 1 when you're dividing by 4, your decimal point equivalent would be 0.25. Okay, well done if you beat me and you got the answer before me. This time I'm going to have a little bit of a race. So I'm going to give you the question and you are going to see if you can beat me. Okay, 587 divided by 3. Now, as a mathematician, I know there are some numbers in the 3 times table that end with a 7. 27, for example, 57. So this might divide by 3, but a little trick. If the digits add up to a number, 3, 6 or 9, that will tell you that it's divisible by 3. So 5 add 8 is 13. Add 7 is 20. And 2 add 0 is 2. So this number does not add up to 3, 6 or 9. So this is going to give me a remainder. Okay, so I'm going to draw my calculation using the bus stop method. Okay, I'm going to extend this a little bit further and I'm going to add in my decimal point and my 0 now. So I think I'm going to have a remainder. 500 divided by 3 is 1. Remainder 2. 28 divided by 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Oh, I've gone too far. Which means if I count how many 3's go into 28, it's 9. Remainder 1. How many 3's go into 17? Now I've drawn my 3 times table, so I can use this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, 18, too fast, too big. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remainder 2. I'm going to put my decimal point here. Do it now before you forget. And then how many 3's go into 20? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still got a remainder of 2. So I'm going to add another 0. 587 is the same as 587.00. Oh, I've got a 2 again. So it's going to be a remainder of 6. Remainder 2. Add another 0. It's going to be 6 again. Remainder 2. Now, as you can see, this pattern is going to go on and on and on. And you could keep going, but there is no end to this number. It is going to carry on like this for infinity. So there's 2 things you can do as a mathematician. You can do a dot above the 6, and that tells you that this number is recurring. Recurring means repeated many, countless times. So 195.66, or if you know your answer is going to look like this, some calculators, especially on computers, they may round that number up to 7. And we take away the dot above because the 7's not recurring, it's the 6. So you have 2 possible answers there, 195.67 or 195.6666, and we put a dot to show that that 6 will carry on. Well done if you spotted that when you were ahead of me. Okay, now let's try one more. And the last question I'm going to do with you is a 4-digit number. For those of you who are feeling quite confident and want to try a bigger number, but also to those of you who have done really well today and are looking to divide by a number bigger than the numbers we've divided by. We're going to divide by 8 now. So if you're not 100% sure of your 8 times table, start by writing it down by using your fingers and counting up. I'm going to stop there and let you carry on at home. we're going to do 5,677 divided by 8. So we need to know our 8 times tables to be able to answer this question. Draw it using your bus stop method. Okay, now 5 divided by 8, no, 5 isn't in the 8 times table, so I'm going to move on to our hundreds digit. We've now got 56 divided by 8. Now the reason I've moved on is because if we were to do 5 divided by 8, we would have 0, and the 5 would go there anyway, and we'd still have 56. So I've just cut that step out by moving along to the hundreds digit. 56 divided by 8 is 7. No remainders, so I'm going to move on. Notice that I put my 7 above the 6 and not above the 5, because 5 divided by 8 is 0. Now I haven't written the 0 in because we don't normally start numbers with a 0 unless we're looking at decimals that are less than 1. So I'm not going to write it down, but that's why I've lined it up above my 6 and not above my 5. 7 divided by 8. 7's not in our 8 times table, so it's a 0. And we're going to move that 7 over to here. 77 divided by 8. Now if you were to carry on your 8 times table, you would see 10 times 8 is 80. Oh, that's too far. So the one before 10 times 8 is 9. So we've got a 9 here and a remainder of 5. 50 divided by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remainder 2. So I'm going to draw another 0 and write my remainder here. Oh, I'm just going to carry on my bus stop. Should maybe draw those longer at the beginning, shouldn't I? 20 divided by 8 is 2. Oh, it's still going. And another 0. This time my remainder is 4. 40 divided by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 8 is 40. So this time my answer is a number that has 3 decimal places. Okay, so I hope that has helped. If you need to watch that video again, then you can always press play again. But now I would like you to have a go at the questions on your home distance learning sheet. There are 3 different sections. There is the 1 star, the 2 star and the 3 star, and I would like you to do 5 questions, but they don't have to be questions from the same column. So if you want a challenge, of course you could do 5 from this column. That would be wonderful, and you can always use an adult or a calculator to check afterwards. But if you were starting in this column or this column and you did maybe 3 questions and they were going really well and you were getting them right, why don't you then try and do 2 questions from this column and challenge yourself? Or if you were doing questions from this column and they were going really well, maybe then move up a column and see if you can challenge yourself. If you'd like to do more than 5 questions, that would be amazing, and you can maybe ask an adult at home to set you some more questions. Hope that goes well, children, and of course I'm here. If you want any questions answered, just send an email. See you soon.